Keep on talking. Who's keeping around?
Power to the people.
Power to the
Yes.
people.
Power to the people. Those that might not like Biden, but they see it as this guy is much worse than like a corporate Democrat. Why do you think, not that you're voting for Trump, but why do you think, no, they're missing it? If we keep doing this lesser of two evils, we're going to be back here in 4 years, in 8 years, basically being told again, you have to vote the lesser of two evils.
Yeah, well, falling in line repeatedly has kept leading to this kind of moment where we're up against some, it's always monster versus monster, essentially. I would admit that in 2016, I did fall in line at the very end. I went door to door for Hillary Clinton at the very end because I bought what Bernie was talking about how we can get Medicare for all on the table with Hillary and stuff like that. And I honestly think we would have had a better chance at doing that. Biden is on the record saying nobody's standard of living is going to change. To his donors, he's saying that. And I think he's being general about everything else.
Ain't gonna
Let nobody turn us around, turn us around, turn us around. Ain't gonna let nobody turn us around. Keep on walking, keep on talking. Power to the people.
Power to the
Yes.
people.
Power to the people.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Up and Up with Jodi Newell, and I am Jodi Newell. I'm very excited today to tell you about an event that's coming up. I don't want to get too far into it because I have a guy here to tell you he organized it, so he knows all about it. He can tell you. So welcome to the show, Eric Kestner. Thank you for coming.
Sure, Jodi. Thanks for having me. My name's Eric Kestner, and I'm from Issaquah, Washington. I'm 55 years old. And back in 2019, I started Burn Your Vest. I'm a Philly veteran, and saw the disappointment in Philadelphia in 2016. And so we knew that the DNC would be up to its usual tricks. And so we prepared to go to the Democratic National Convention and protest. Well, that was back in, like I said, October of 19, and we had the COVID hit, and Super Tuesday hit, and everything kind of changed. And so after the convention, we decided, what's going to be our next action. And the group, Burn Your Vest, had gotten up to about 12,000 people by then, and at the convention, or after the convention, it morphed into a different group called Yellow Vest Actions for Our Lives. And our first action was at the DNC. This time we're going to be at DC for the inauguration. We're going to tell our representatives, red and blue alike, that we're hurting, and it's no longer acceptable to not have Medicare for all. It's not acceptable to not have a monthly stimulus like other modern countries do. We're just getting the wrong end of the stick, and I'm starting to think that it looks like they're doing it on purpose. It's kind of a scary thought, but why wouldn't they be helping us when they could have already? $600 is just crumbs. We deserve so much better. We should expect so much better. So our message at the inauguration is for the government. We're not singling out the red or the blue. They're both completely ineffective and unreliable. We're appealing to people. It's time to abandon your party for a little while and put that behind us. And this needs to be about people, join people, to help each other. Our what's at stake here is our basic needs. Our basic needs for survival. Shelter, health, food. People are sick. I don't have to get into how many people are dying because of this virus, and the food bank lines are long. And try telling those people that the stock market's at an all-time record. See if they care. People are sick. They're dying. They're hungry. They're broke. Unemployed. It's an emergency. We're there for Medicare for all, and we're there for a monthly stimulus. Actually, I hate that word, that stimulus. It's not a stimulus. It's an emergency payment. We need monthly emergency payments on par with other modern countries. I was reading a gal from New Zealand saying that she'd gotten $24,000 from their government so far. They're getting $600 a week, $600 a week. And they've pretty much put it behind them because they're able to effectively lock down because the government knows how to take care of the people. So we don't seem to get that, and we call ourselves a first world country, and there's a lot of really, really backwards things right now. And the people in Congress are so blind or complicit or out of touch.
Absolutely. And you know what? Honestly, I don't care what the reason is, whether you do it or not. I really don't care. You could be a very nice person. You could be a crappy person. I don't know. The fact is that you need to be held accountable for your actions. And this is something that we talk about a lot. We really need people who are in Congress who are fighting for the people, who are fighting for this is a very basic thing, and we see that in so many other countries. It's just really sad, and especially throughout the pandemic, to know just how important it is to our public health, to our individual health and to our public health. And people who are in that position of power need to be wielding it wisely. They need to be really they really need to be pushing for these things because they are our voice in Congress. So I don't care if you're a nice person. I don't care if I like to talk to you at parties or anything like that. Like I'm going to parties with Congress people. But what really matters is what you do, right? But I love to hear you talk about the march. I think it's a wonderful thing. I went there, and at the time when I went there to the march on the DNC in Philly, at the time when I went there, I didn't know anybody. I didn't know anybody. I wasn't even really all that politically involved, So I went there. I was just like, all right, I'm going. And I drove there by myself in the middle of the night, literally drove all night, went for the march, made friends while I was there, and then drove back in the middle of the night that night, But it's really cool to me because I have heard from so many people like you who were at that march who I didn't know yet. Yeah, you're just friends that I didn't know yet. My part of my activist fam that I just didn't know your name yet. But that's a huge thing. I think also that these events are all about is it brings together people of like minds, and to kind of connect us. Then we're connected after that, and then we could work together after that. You know what I mean? So it's a really cool opportunity.
I met a lot of great people in Philly, and I was like 10 feet behind the guys that pushed the coffin over the fence, and experienced that, and that was our message. That we were after the DNC, but I think that we've need to turn a little corner here as far as directing our focus. I've been talking smack about the Democrats ever since they've been rigging elections, and I've been constantly tasked with tasking myself with what I can do next to stop the DNC. Everybody thinks about that all the time. Like that, what's going to stop the DNC? Well, I think we need to change the focus a little bit and direct it at both parties, because you can't talk about the evil DNC without in the same breath talking about the evil RNC. They're both obviously I believe that they're one corporate party, and that all of this is theater that they put on us.
Oh yeah.
And for reasons that we know, MMT, that they could help us
Right.
like
Right.
that if they wanted to. The only way to interpret this at this point, since they haven't helped us, and it's been almost a year, I mean, $600 isn't much help, right? That's like, can we go on vacation now? Here's your $600, fuck off.
You know what? I have a question. So, like you're talking about in New Zealand, right? How this $24,000, right? Someone was provided, of course, so that they could get through the pandemic, and it worked, and all this stuff. But anyway, so it's funny to me. Like, I wonder, how come they can do that in New Zealand? I mean, how do, like in New Zealand, do they have the conversation about, oh, we're going to pay for it? I mean, it's it's amazing to me that we seem to always kind of come back to this conversation. And I don't know. I don't hear about other countries talking about, oh, our grandchildren are going to have to pay this off someday. And, all this stuff is kind of this false premise that comes in every time we actually want to do something that's good for the people. But, what do we, how come we seem to be the only country who's asking that question? The only, I mean, however you want to put it, industrialized, or, the greatest economy on earth.
Well, they can help us. They could keystroke the money into existence. They can make the deposits. We know this now, and they're just not doing it.
Yeah.
And we're, at what point do we claim self-defense from the oligarchy? At what time do we tell the corporate duopoly enough is enough? When exactly is it too much? I think that tipping point is near. Tipping points are invisible, but you don't know where they are until they've come and gone. But I think we're close, if we're not past it a little bit already. I think people are starting to wake up and see that these people in Washington, D.C., they're not heroes. Their leaders is a too nice of a word for them. They're representatives. That they work for us, and that has gotten lost in their shuffle, and they need to be brought back to reality that the American people are not only worth way more than what they're suggesting, deserve way more than what they're suggesting, but we're now expecting it because we see it's with technology at our fingertips. We see that Canada and Sweden and Norway and Australia and New Zealand and Germany and all of the other modern industrialized countries are properly taking care of their people. They don't have deficit myth excuses and that they put in the way of that aid because it's an emergency, and they just don't seem to grasp that.
And it's amazing, like the irony of being so convinced and so tied to this reputation as America, as the wealthiest country in the world, the greatest country in the world, blah, 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 and all this stuff. And yet at the same time, we can't afford to do these things. At the same time, saying, but we can't do this for our people, but we can't do this. Like, we have the best economy in the world, yet we can't do it. It's just, it's cognitive dissonance. It's makes no sense at all.
Yeah. So we're demanding $2,000 monthly payments, retroactive for the last 8 months for each adult, and $500 for each child. And we're demanding Medicare for all. We can't wait any longer. We're in the middle of a global pandemic. It's if they're not going to give it to us now, in a pandemic, then I think we can certainly expect that they're not planning on ever giving it to us, and on their own, unpushed. But now's the time. Pressure the left. Heard about it for months and months and months. Pressure the left. So that's what we're doing. Day one, we're going to pressure the left and the right. We're going to pressure our government to take care of us. We've got to stop singling out individuals, singling out parties, playing these identity politics. We just have to realize that we're all in this together, and go out and meet your neighbors, shake hands with your neighbors, see what they're about. They probably believe something different than you, but yet you bring in brownies, don't you? So we can't lose our humanity in this online leftists. They're attacking each other, over BS. We all want the same things, right? We can't seem to decide how to get there, and we all want a revolution, but we can't seem to decide what day and what month and what time.
Oh yeah, I mean, divide and conquer, right? I mean, it's as old as that, right? If you want to continue what you're doing, right, make no structural changes or anything like that, what do? You pit people against each other, right? We've seen this many, many times over the years. I mean, what it actually kind of reminds me a little bit of is, back in the day with unions, right? So with unions, unfortunately, unions were sometimes racially segregated. So some were racially segregated. So what would they do? So, they would have one organization that would go on strike, group of workers that would go on strike, and then they would bring other people in to take over the jobs. So it would be people of another nationality, of a different race, right? They would bring in those other people. And it was kind of reinforced this divide that was already there, right? Or, chances are was already latently already there with the people involved, but was definitely there within a lot of these unions. And so it would be, white only union, and then they'd have Black people come in and do those jobs. And it reinforced this racial divide. So instead of pointing to the company that is putting you in this position, the company that is not instituting, whatever it was at the time, regulations or practices that were good for the workers, they would just bring in other people, and they would bring in other people who were, in some way, looked at negatively already by the other party, and so that's what it was. So we're all working people, but at this point, this was their way of kind of dividing the working people, and making them point the finger at each other instead of actually looking to the people who are in charge, who actually have power. You know what I mean? It's like punching sideways or down or whatever it is. You should be punching up. Let's just be real, punching up. And here's the thing. That's what it came down to, is that people needed to realize that it doesn't matter what color you are, it doesn't matter what nationality you are, it doesn't matter any of these things. We're all in the same boat. And in order for us to be able to move together, move forward, or make progress, or actually achieve the goals, we needed to harness our collective power, and work together, which is exactly the situation we're in now.
That's their MO. Divide and conquer. Yeah.
Absolutely.
With different information, with different people, to get them thinking different things and put them fighting each other.
I mean, think about it right now. I mean, how many people support Medicare for all? You know what I mean? How many people support a Green New Deal, or many elements of the Green New Deal? And of course, there are people who are going to fight it. I think a lot of people who are against the Green New Deal, it's been propagandized, right? So people have a different understanding of it than what it actually is, right? But we agree on we agree on so many things, right? We agree on money in politics, for one thing. So many people think that money in politics is a corrupting influence in our political system. That's like, it polls at like 93%, but we're not doing anything about it. Medicare for all, I think, it's gotta be, it was over 70. The last one I saw, and I don't know, look at them every single day. But the last one, that's the last one that I remember. There are these things that we all, or a vast majority of us, seem to agree on, and yet here we are fighting over how we treat the flag, or the symbolism of a thing, or these things that it's like, dude, that. We're so distracted. We're so distracted by these other things. So yes, divide and conquer, and then of course, we have to convince people that the other people want to I don't know, take their guns away, or, you know, I mean, just these, you know, these things that, what is the substance behind it? Well, really nothing. It's a visceral reaction. It's a feeling reaction. It's how people feel about how, you know, what they've been propagandized, you know what I mean? Or how it's been fed to them, right?
Actually having a conversation about the fact that.
But the nice thing is that I think at this point, we're kind of, we're getting closer and closer. Like, you never know what the tipping point is going to be or anything like that. But I think not only do a lot of people now recognize, you know, more than ever and more clearly than ever, that there are serious systemic issues in our country that really need to be addressed. And I think, especially when it comes to Medicare for All and the Green New Deal, you know, these kind of big and bold progressive policies, I think, you know, the other part of that is essentially what Rural Progressives is doing, because it takes away that, you know, BS argument that says, you know, we don't know how we can pay for it, right? So we have these conversations about things that we need to implement, and then it's just shut right down. You know what I mean? It's shut right down by somebody saying, oh, well, we don't have the money. Well, yes, we do. And I think more and more people are coming to realize that. So we talked about how we saw each other in Philly. And of course, we go to all these different marches and these conferences, and I am so missing them in 2020. Hopefully in 2021, I can actually go to whatever. Anyway, but you know, the things that we've participated in the past, and you know, sometimes you leave and you know, it depends on what you're trying to accomplish, right? Where, you know, a lot of it is advocacy and awareness and education, right? So no matter what, if you're building more of a consensus, you're building more, you know, building more understanding with people that they know what's going on, that's important, right? But at this point, we're past that. I mean, we're past that. Yes, still educating people, that's still part of it. But at this point, it's really, it can't be put off anymore. It can't be put off any longer. So, you know, I would say unique to this, you actually have built-in consequences, right? So you're having this march, you're having this rally, and then of course. So just tell me a little bit about it. What are the built-in consequences that you have?
Well, if we can't get Medicare for All and monthly stimulus that's on par with other countries, we're going to state strike, a general strike on March 7th, and that is what is going to happen if they don't respond, like we know they won't, right? So we're planning this now. All these fights that we get into with, you know, in Philly and Occupy and all of the struggles that we've collectively been together through. There may not have been much of a result from our efforts as far as, you know, tangible policy, but I think through all of our organizing during those events and others, that and because of Bernie Sanders, that those topics are now, at least they're on the chopping block, right? Before they weren't even on the platform or anywhere near it, and now those items are being they're mainstream issues now, and I think we can all take pride in that. And you know, you never know what is going. We were talking about tipping points earlier. You never know what's going to be the tipping point. As things get more and more emergent for us, I would imagine that tipping point is drawing ever near. But I think that we can take all that practice and all that heartache and disappointment and anger and outrage, and we can direct it and focus it for two issues right now. Back at the DNC, at the Democratic National Convention, you know, we're fighting for all kinds of things. We're fighting for Medicare for All and Green New Deal and $15 an hour and federal jobs guarantee and police demilitarization and the end of prison for profits, electoral reform. And, you know, but now things are even more emergent. We've got we've got people, we've just got our basic needs hanging out there, and really that's what we're going after for the inauguration. We need health. We need to be fed. We need to be housed. We need to have extended rent and eviction moratoriums. We need way more cash than they're giving us to pay our bills and to eat, and we need health care. And I think once we have those things, we'll be on a good foot to start off to get all those other things that are so important to us. But for right now, this is about Medicare for all. This is about a monthly stimulus, and I think we can do it. I think that enough people are. We know about all the angry people. I'm not sure what percentage of the population we make up, but there's enough of us now to have our political, social, and economic revolution. There's enough of us now. I think I read somewhere, I don't know where it was, maybe Chris Hedges or something like that, 3.5% of the population is required to participate to have a revolution, right? I think we're way beyond that as far as our actual numbers, as far as where people stand about policy, but now it's the getting there that is difficult, right? We're all broke, right? I think they're kind of keeping us broke on purpose, honestly. And it's a stretch to get to Washington, D.C. for most people. And anyway, I would appeal to people. This is so important. Ride share, take a bus, train, hitchhike, skateboard, whatever you got to do to get to the inauguration to make some noise, because we're dying out here. And now's the time. This is obviously the time that we need to stand up now. And this is a big event, the inauguration. It is every time. And lots of TV, lots of film, lots of foreign media. This is the time to stand up and make a stink.
And don't forget to wear your yellow vest.
Yeah, I got my yellow vest on.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I've got 150 yellow vests I'm going to give away at the inauguration. So people come without a vest, I'll be able to help some folks.
Oh, nice. Awesome. Yeah, and you know what? I really appreciate you catching me on that, because I feel like I went and kind of, I don't know, I feel like I didn't do it justice, right? Because, a lot of these actions that have we've done before, it's not that they weren't consequential. They're all building up to where we're at now, right? So it's not that they didn't accomplish anything. I actually think that a lot of these marches and rallies and things like that, even if there weren't policy changes directly after, I do think that they changed, because they changed the conversation and they changed the way that we look at it. We broaden our coalition. We broaden the amount of people who understand, that this is an issue that needs to be taken care of. So essentially what this march is about is just demanding the base minimum, right? We're talking about Medicare for all and talking about $2,000 payment. I mean, this is what we need to get through not only the situation that we're in, but also to protect us if in future situations, which they're saying these are going to be more common. New viruses and pandemics and things like that. I mean, if you really listen to the experts, they say, hey, well, watch out, because we have a changing climate. We are encroaching on the habitat of animals that carry viruses that we haven't come in contact with, but once they hit the human population, that's what's bound to happen. So yes, so this is essentially creating a baseline to say these are the things that we absolutely need to be able to get by and be able to survive. I mean, not even thrive, but just to survive as a society and as people. And want to make sure that we let everybody know, of course, if you're, when you're coming to DC, this will be, we're making sure that we want everyone to be taking the necessary precautions, right? We are still in the middle of pandemic, and we're looking at a serious spike right now. We actually just passed, I think it was 4,100 people in one day who passed away. So this is very serious. So you know, coming down to the point where, you know, we feel like this is important enough to really go and make a stand. But when you come, we want to make sure that everyone takes, you know, that everyone takes precautions. We're not going to be masked. We want to, of course, it's all going to be outdoors, but we want, you know, people to just be as safe as possible. So absolutely make sure you know, we don't, that should not be understated.
I've got my multi-purpose mask.
There you go.
Better than those. Kind of matches a person.
I like it. I was admiring that artwork behind you too.
It's a
Commiserating
really
about-
good mask.
Yeah.
Bring a really good mask and bring spares.
Yep, absolutely. But I mean, show up, you know, like, yes, that's what we need to do. We do need to show up.
Yeah, we've got to do whatever we got to do to get there and show up. They've shown us over and over and over again that they're not going to do what we elected our representatives to do. They're just not going to do it unless America stands. I guess we have to, right? I guess that's always been the case. And you know, hashtag up to us, but that's the way it's always been. It's always been up to us to make the changes that we need. And this is how we do it. It's got to happen in the streets. It's not happening in Congress. You know, we don't have to get into the disappointing situations that we're reminded of on the regular about what's not happening in Congress. It's time to, if we're going to wage a war on anybody, we got to stop punching left and punching right and start punching up. You know, if anybody deserves to be warred on, it's our corporate lobbyists. You know, that they need to get the hell away from our politicians. The system's not working this way. You know, so our politicians, they help themselves first, they help corporate lobbyists and the corporations second, and they help us last. You know?
Yeah.
But what they're really doing is they're helping themselves first.
Yeah, I find that really interesting, honestly, because, you know, talking about lobbyists, right? So what's like the basic idea behind lobbyists is having someone to introduce, you know, to be in contact with legislators and represent represent the, you know, specific interests that the lobbyist might not necessarily, that the representative or legislator might not necessarily know about, right? Which in theory, you know, seems like it would be a good idea. If it's somebody who's the head of a union, you know what I mean? That's what we, you know, have union leaders to do, right? Is to represent people who are working in this industry. That can go awry too. But also, you know, to speak for people so that legislators can tap into an experience or interest that they don't necessarily understand. So you would think that would be a good idea, but instead of actually having the people kind of, you know, represented in that way or whatever, what we end up, or, you know, kind of subsets of people or something like that, what we end up doing is we just end up having people from corporations and from like big industry and, you know, stuff like that don't actually do anything that benefits the people. It benefits their bottom line. You know what I mean? And I mean, they'll have like one lobbyist for every, I was looking into, anyway, the real estate industry is pretty messed up. But anyway, I was, you know, looking into that at one point, and I remember thinking it's just absolutely amazing. The National Association of Realtors has one, you know, dedicated lobbyist to each member of Congress. Like it's, you know, and you think about the real estate industry, it's not necessarily nefarious, but it's also, you know, at that level, it's not for people. It's not even for agents. It's for you know, the big builders, and it's for Trumps. It's for those kind of people, you know what I mean? For, you know, big developers and stuff like that. It doesn't necessarily help the people whatsoever. So anyway, lobbying is an interesting concept.
Absolutely. We got to get lobbyists out of Washington, out of our capitals. And the need is so great, yet they're putting legislation into our stimulus bill about the free martini lunches.
My
God. How out of touch could it possibly be?
Yes. Yes. I mean, people are waiting in lines for hours for food at this point. I mean, people are in such desperate situations that they're going and waiting in food lines that are like hours and hours and hours long, right? And by the time they get there, I've heard some reports where people can't even actually get food. By the time they get to the front of the line, it's all gone. I mean, it's just, it's absolutely amazing to me.
If they have money for free martini lunches, and if they have money for $780 billion a year after year after year, that the Democrats keep voting for also. If they've got that kind of money, they got money to kill people, they got the money to help people.
Yeah.
It costs a whole lot less. So there's a lot of issues that are just so important and so relevant to right now.
Yeah.
But I think keeping it simple, for starters, getting people healthy, getting people fed, then we might have a leg to stand on for more progress. So time's really now. Stand up and fight for Medicare for all. And it's a decent stimulus, for Christ's sake.
Yep, you're absolutely right.
It's an insult to a $600 pittance, right?
Yeah, it really is. It really is. Yep. So, just kind of wrap things up. I'm just going to tell you, I'm really excited for this event. I'm going to be going, and at least one other person from Real Progressives, and I know there's other independent media who's going to, who will be there as well. So yeah, this is really exciting. So if you can come there, come. Be careful, cautious, take all the precautions that you possibly can. And come down there, and if not, share the stream, follow what's happening that day. Hopefully we're going to, we're going to stream the whole thing, or at least a good portion of it, and hopefully be able to interview some other activists and participants who are there. However you can help out, please do. I know we have some good information from you about how we can get involved. So usually I say, please like, share, and subscribe. And of course, do those things as well. And, and also, if you have the means, please donate, Patreon / Rail Progressives. But actually, I kind of want to just leave the floor to you. So what's your closing appeal, Eric? Bring it.
Go to yellowvestactions.com, and there's a lot of info there. You can help volunteer. We're looking for people to, like you say, spread this out to the masses. So they can go to yellowvestactions.com to help or donate. We've got a press announcement, or a press release rather, that is pinned to the top of our Facebook page at Yellow Vest Actions for Our Lives. Join our Facebook group, and you can keep up on the latest information, and also any live streams that are going on at the intervention, the inauguration. And if you want to help us out, definitely let us know. Myself and my son, we're going to be leaving on the 8th from Seattle. We're going to be driving to DC, and it's about a 6-day drive, so we're going to give ourselves a few extra days. We're going to get there a few days early. If there's anybody in DC that wants to help us out, we're going to have probably 1,000 flyers to staple up on telephone poles, and to try to spread the word locally also. So there's still a lot of help. It's not too late to come to the table. And then we're going to be meeting at the inauguration at 7 in the morning on January 20th at the Emancipation Memorial at Lincoln Park, right there in Washington, D.C. So that's where we'll gather. And hopefully it's a heck of a lot of people. Regardless of, I don't know how many people are going to show up for this. We've got 12,000 members in our group. I'm not sure how many people can make it. I hope a lot. So there's the best bit of news is if you go to our website, there is a rideshare function there that you can investigate, and if you need to find somebody to rideshare with or caravan with, that'd be great. We really recommend that people don't go alone. you need someone there to watch your back, and you need someone there to help you out, and this isn't a solo event. We're all into this together. So try to grab somebody that's like-minded, and split the expenses of the trip. There's a lot of people out there thinking, I can't afford this. Anyway, they need to go to our Facebook group, Yellow Vest Actions for Our Lives, and join us and post about what your needs are. Hey, I'm geared up, but I just don't have transpo, or I've got gas money, but I don't know where I'm going to stay. Or, we want to know what people's limitations are, because we understand that everybody has them. And we want to do as much as we can for people to get there. And we all have to help each other to make that happen.
Yeah, and you know what? That's the beautiful thing about activists, right? I've made so many awesome relationships with people over the years at these different events, and honestly, when it comes down to it, I think that we're there to help each other out, right? We fill in that need. Somebody needs something, somebody has something. That's how we work together, right? We all understand that we're all there for a reason, and we come together on that, beautiful. Speaking of baseline, I mean, these baseline values that we have, and knowing that, I got your back and you got mine, and we're working towards beautiful things.
Anybody that wants to help can. We will find something for you to do.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Eric. I'm excited to meet you in person. This is actually going to be really great. Thank you so much for all that you're doing and for coming on the show. So hope to talk to you in between. I'd love to give some updates. Maybe we can follow your trip across the country. January 20th. See you there.